Hey guys. I know I don't really have any I I don't have any real credentials um, or any real big reasons of why anyone should listen to this video or watch this video or listen to me speak. And I know that. I know and this is just gonna be on one of my channels on YouTube, but I don't know if anyone will ever see it. I may just be speaking out into the void, but at this point it doesn't really matter because with all the things, all the rioting and all the civil unrest that's going on and all the blame and things that are being thrown in all directions and all the people that are just hurting and in crisis, with all that, it's really been weighing on me very heavily. And I went and I prayed, of course, because that's one of the first things I try to do whenever we're in situations like this. I bring it to God and I talk to Him about it. And I've just been it's been burning in me that I felt like I needed to say some things. And I'm not saying that what I'm about to say, I'm not saying that everything I'm about to say is directly from God, but this is something that I got, a little something I got while I was in prayer, and I think it just needs to be said. Some points just need to be made, and if you agree with me, that's fine. If you don't agree with me, that's fine too. But it's just I have not been able to get any rest or relax or anything, because I've been needing to say these things, and I just have been scared to, I'm scared about if anyone's gonna listen or anyone's even gonna care. But I'm reminded in Ezekiel, in the Bible, in Ezekiel, he's worried. Ezekiel, God's sending him out, telling him, you need to go say these things to the people of Israel. And Ezekiel basically is like, I'm scared. What if they just don't listen? And God's response is, of course, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if it's not up to you whether or not they listen, it's only up to you if you'll speak or not. And so, God's only going to hold me accountable for if I speak. Doesn't matter if you listen to me, if you don't. I just got to say these things to get them off my chest. And I have it all written down because I'm kind of just going on and on right now. But so I'm just going to read from it. And I'm sorry, this is not going to be all charismatic and dynamic and everything. I'm just going to be reading from what I wrote. So just thank you for listening if you're listening, and just try to have an open heart toward it, okay? It's never okay for one race to live in fear of another race, but it's also not okay for one race to destroy the possessions and livelihoods of another, even if that other race has been the one that's been persecuting another race. The brutal murder of George Floyd deserves justice, and the people responsible for his death should be held accountable. But rioting, looting, and burning cities to the ground is not justice. Justice is defined in Webster's dictionary as number 1, conformity to moral principles or law, just conduct. Number 2, merited reward or punishment. And number 3, the administration of law, authority, jurisdiction. Justice is making the perpetrators of crimes such as the murder of George Floyd makes the perpetrators of the crimes be held accountable not only before God, but also before mankind. And part of justice also is for them to have to endure punishment that is in proportion to their crimes. How does destroying businesses and running people out of their homes, how is that justice? And how is brutalizing truly peaceful protesters justice? And the answer to both of those questions is it is no justice at all. Those who would riot and destroy the great cities, to those who would riot and destroy the great cities of this great nation, what do you think you will accomplish by destroying your neighbor's livelihood, burning down your city, and alienating the first responders in your city who are on your side and are also seeking justice for those who have been brutalized by the authority figures? Suppose one of your family members killed someone just because they were a different race, and you had absolutely nothing to do with it, and in fact you were actually heartbroken for the victim's family. Now suppose that you even hand over your family member who's killed this other person. You hand them over to the authorities so that they can face justice. But the next day, the victim's family surrounds your home and screams for justice. And you tell them that the offender is being dealt with, but they tell you that it's not enough for them, and you plead and you try to calm them down and you try to work something out with them, but the family just refuses to listen. So then they smash your windows, they kick down your door, they steal all your things, and they burn down your house. And as you stand in your front yard, watching the flames devour all the things you worked late for, you worked hard for, you worked overtime and took extra shifts to be able to earn, you just sit there and you quietly whisper, "Why?" One of the victim's family stares you in the eye and says, "We were angry. We wanted justice." Who in that story has actually received justice? It's certainly not the one whose home was destroyed. They had done nothing, yet they received a punishment. And not even the victim's family has received justice, because though the offender is the one who... Not even the victim's family has received justice, because though the offender is the one they want brought to justice, he has received no actual punishment and is no worse off than before he killed the victim. Rioters and anarchists, your actions have brought no justice to anyone. To you, an authority who brutalized those you were over, who do you think the people will more readily obey? People who respect them and their opinions, or people who treat them according to how other members of their race have acted? No one is born hating the law enforcement. That is a mentality that is taught to them by their environment and reinforced by such events as George Floyd's death. Do you want people to respect you and obey you? Then treat every person, whether white, black, Asian, Hispanic, or any other race, with the same kind of respect that you would want shown to your own mother or grandmother. Each civilian is unique with their own beliefs and ideas, and you do a great injustice to them by assuming that because of how they look, you know how they'll act. Being an authority does not always get you respect. You must be someone who is respectful of others before they will respect you. Do not stand by when your fellow first responders and law enforcement officers become abusive toward civilians. Inaction in the face of injustice is the same as actively participating in the injustice. To all who would listen, to me it is obvious that both sides seek justice, but each side is going about it the wrong way. One side seeks to silence the voice of the people and quell their emotion, like when a parent tells a child to calm down and be quiet when they are upset, and the other side seeks to destroy anything they do not personally own, because subconsciously they are thinking, if I cannot get the authorities to listen, and if I cannot get justice, at least I can steal something that I want, so then through all this at least I get something. Much like how a child will throw a tantrum when they want something but the parent won't listen. One side seeks to be heard and the other wishes to hear, but both sides make such a fuss trying to control the other that the calm voices of reason are drowned out. In the history of the world, what has always overcome tyranny? Unity of the people. Tyranny stirs up hatred and mistrust in the hearts of the people because it knows that if the people would work in unity, it would be overcome. Today we face a tyranny that has been around for thousands of years. It's racism. Just the very word is able to start fights between people. Today, almost 100% of us can agree that racism in any form is wrong. In fact, that's the one thing that both sides of this chaos seem to be able to agree on. If they're able to agree on that term, then why all this violence? Because neither side will listen to the other. Neither side will step back and lay down their weapons long enough to listen to the other. In closing, wrap it up like this. Rioters, do not destroy the things, the institutions, and the country that your parents, your grandparents, and your great-grandparents built for you, just because you are angry and want to be heard. To the authorities, I would say, do not assume the worst of people. Believe the best in people until they give you a reason to believe the worst. Do not forget that you are a mediator between the people and the government, so how well or poorly you treat people is how well or poorly they will see their government. Now, take what I just said how you want. There's not a lot to dig into it. Well, I just said what I'm thinking. There's no big hidden agenda to it or anything like that. It's just some words that I felt needed to be said, and whether anyone will ever see this video or anyone will ever listen, it's just some things that I felt needed to be said. So if you watch it all the way to the end, thank you. Just think about it, whether you agree or not. Thank you for listening.